Ellen McCauley. I'm at Pray It Up in Syracuse, New York. And I think it was at the end of the last session, I asked for people to give me ideas on what they wanted me to talk about. And over time, I've just been taking those little slips of paper and talking about the different things. And tonight, there's a couple of topics that people asked for. And one of those were toxic people. They had said that they would do so much better on their healthy journey if their life didn't include so many toxic people. And before I begin chatting about this, I want to say that I think we're all toxic at one time or another. You know, I mean, when Bob almost got arrested outside Baltimore, he said, "Don't tell that story," but he didn't. He didn't, but he got in a little trouble because we were going into the parking lot and there was 4 lanes and the other lane was going really fast. So he said, "Well, I'm going to go in that lane." So he got out of our lane. I'm like, don't leave our lane, honey. We're supposed to be in this lane." But he got out of that lane. And didn't he get in trouble for it? So when he rolled his windows down, he was like, "I've been driving for 7 hours. I'm exhausted." And so even Bob, who everyone thinks never loses his temper, we all are toxic now and then. And we might be toxic more than we like to admit. And so I think before we start thinking of all the toxic people in our lives, we need to decide, where can I be better? And we need to deserve to have people in our lives that treat us good. That's why I love Pray It Off. I love Pray It Off because I feel it is a no judgment zone. I feel it is a love zone. If people are toxic, they don't last. They don't last. They quit. And believe it or not, there's certain people I let quit. I let them quit. Other people, they can't quit. I won't let them, you know? And that's whoever's in this room. So we need to know that there's friends in our lives, there's acquaintances in our lives, and then there's some people like our friends by proximity. Like we have a really good friend in Bethany Beach, and we always play games and we laugh and we have so much fun. And she said, "Well, I'm going to bring over a couple of my guests that are with me to play games with us." And we're like, "Sure, why not?" They were so toxic, they were toxically sarcastic. Everything was a mean, jive. And we're all sitting there going, "What?" Do you ever do that? Sometimes you look at these people and you go, "Are you?" And so, needless to say, they're not on our Christmas card list. So you might be exposed. So the next time she says, "Oh, I've got some guests," I'd be like, "Who are they? I want their bona fides," you know? So also, if there are toxic people that you just can't get away from, like it's your boss, okay? Then you need to have tips and understand how you can deal with them. Otherwise, if you're eating food or not taking care of yourself because you're so stressed about the toxic people in your life, you need to change something about yourself, your reaction, because you're not going to change them. It's very difficult to change other people. Ask any wife, right? Right, guys? Haven't we tried our whole lives? And our husbands never want to change us because why? We're perfect, right? Okay. So the 7 types of toxic people. The conversational narcissist. You say, "I had a really good cruise." "Really? Oh, I went on a cruise last year. Let me tell you all about it." You haven't even told them about your cruise, and they're telling you about their cruise, right? Or you say to them, "Oh, I got a pain in my side." "You have a pain in your side. Let me tell you about my side." You can't even get what you're going to talk about out, and they're already talking about themselves. That's why I rarely say to people, if they say, "How you doing?" I'm like, "Great," because that's all they want to hear. They don't want to know how you really are. They want to talk about themselves. If you have the rare people in your life that actually want to know how you are, then you treasure them because they're very special. Also, the straitjacket. They freak out when you disagree with them. If you don't believe there's people like that, just tell anyone you're pro-life and see how they freak out. You tell anyone that you believe in marriage between a man and a woman, and they're looking at you like, hello, what planet are you on? You tell anyone. Now, I'm not saying we judge anyone else, but I'm just saying there are people. If you say, I really love President Trump, you'll have people that want to stab you to death, you know? There are so many people that are out to freak out. So, and I believe that if people say, you know, I really love Kamala Harris, I would be like, really? Tell me why. I want to hear why. Why do you love her? Or I love President Trump. What do you love about him? Tell me. I don't want to freak out. I want to know why they feel that way. I really believe in pro-choice. Really, why? Tell me how you feel that way. See, we need to look at someone and not freak out about it. Also, the drama magnet. There are people that every day, oh my gosh, everything's a nightmare. I had to wait in traffic, I had this. I have a certain friend that everything's drama. And what really works out now is we only text. And that works out really good because with a text, you're like, oh my gosh, that's unbelievable, wow. And it's not so much that you have to actually talk about all the drama all the time because everything's drama. Everything is drama. I know anyone like that? Everything. Also, the jealous, judgmental person. I am on the committee for the 50th reunion, and there's still someone on the committee who doesn't like me because I was chosen to be the commencement speaker and he was runner-up. I was afraid that he was going to trip me and try to kill me before the actual ceremony. You know what I mean? Because he wanted to do it. So even now he brings it up. Remember when you were chosen to be the commencement speaker? I said, you mean 50 years ago? We're still talking about that. There are people that are going to be jealous of you if you're outgoing. They're going to be jealous of you. And, oh, I have someone, no matter what happens in my life, if I say, oh, my hip is killing me, they say, you have Bob. Like everything that's wrong with me does not count. If I say I got audited by the IRS, well, you got Bob. Everything. No matter what happens in my life, they say, you got Bob. So now I'm just like, I know I have Bob, but this is going on in my life, you know? And then the same person is the first person. Now I think I'm up to 65 people who have said this to Bob. If anything happens to Ellen, can I have you? And I think she was the first one that said that. Also, the liar. I have a college friend who, when they tell the truth, I'm shocked because they lie about everything. And I'm amazed at that. I'm amazed. And I used to get annoyed about it. Now I find it extremely entertaining. Extremely entertaining. Because I'm always curious about what are they going to lie about now? And they're like, wow. I'm thinking, wow, interesting. So, also, it's almost like the boy who cried wolf, though, because when he does tell the truth, I'm like, is that the truth? I'm not sure. I don't know, because he's been lying for 50 years. Do you feel, how do you know? Do you feel dread when you see someone? Well, they're probably toxic then. Do you feel that you end up gossiping about them because they're upsetting you? Like if someone's mean to you at work and they're so toxic, do you say, well, I don't like them anyway, they're a jerk, they're this? Do you take that offensive? Also, do you get affected by other people's drama? Do you end up getting tense and anxious over their drama? Also, you go to these reunions, and there's two kinds of people at the reunions. They want to know, and Bob hates this. Bob, when they do this, they say to Bob, so, what do you do for a living? Well, now we're retired, but pretend we're back when we were working. They'll say to Bob, what do you do for a living? And he's like, oh, well, I'm in construction. And he's like, they're like, oh, well, where did you go to college? He goes, well, I didn't go to college. So, you didn't go to college? In the 70s, everyone went to college. Well, no, I didn't go. There's people like that at the reunions. And then there's people like this. It's so good to see you. I'm so happy. I'm so happy to see you. Let's just talk about the old days and have some laughs and just a non-judgmental zone. I don't care how much money someone has. I don't care what kind of vacations they're going on, because let me tell you why. Everyone has problems. Everyone has issues. They could have a son that has problems, or a daughter, or a grandchild. We do not have to compete with people because we all have our own issues. And remember this, when I said everyone is toxic in a little way, I have to change that, because Pam Milton's the only person I ever met in my life that has not 1 ounce of toxicity to her. I've never met anyone nicer. Everyone here is really nice, but you really don't hold a candle to Pam Milton. She is super nice. Also, sometimes I think, does she ever raise her voice? Does she ever mean? Does she ever say that person's fat or a jerk or whatever? Because she's so nice. Anyway, I love her. All right. So, do not be manipulated by toxic people. And here's something else. Our adult children can sometimes be toxic. Anyone know what I'm talking about? Because it's all about them. They want you to do this. Well, I want you to do this. Because you're the parent. You're supposed to be doting on me. You say, you're almost 50. I'm not going to dote on you. Okay? So, if there's people in your life that are manipulating you, you do not have to lay down and let you say, oh, you know, I can appreciate that. I really understand that, but no. You don't have to yell. You don't have to scream. You just have to stand your ground, okay? Understand that if someone is toxic, it's usually because there's something wrong with them. A lot of sarcastic people live with a lot of self-doubt. They live with a lot of self-recrimination about things, so that they're sarcastic and schmarmy because it makes them feel better. I find the most homophobic people I've ever met are those that were maybe afraid they might be gay. Because no one else is homophobic. I mean, you accept people for who they are. There's no reason to be that angry. Also, things might get worse before they leave you alone, especially if it's your boss. You might have to leave. And if it's your marriage, and I'm not telling anyone to leave, but if it's toxic marriage, you might need counseling, okay? Be clear of your boundaries. You know, I had a boss that was toxic in the way that she would never say anything nice about me. She would never say, wow, you did that great on that project, or wow, you completed that whole resource guide, that's incredible. But here's what she did do. She ignored me. She let me do whatever I wanted. And that was beautiful because I was a hard worker. I did whatever I wanted. She didn't bother me. I mean, was she the best boss ever? No, but I've had worse. You know, wouldn't it have been nice if she said, hey, you're doing a good job? I can live without that, you know? So you have to pick your own battles. Also, you don't have to help people through every crisis, because here's what they want you to say. Oh my gosh, I had such a rough day. Oh, I'm so sorry. Do you want to talk about it? Because they do. They want to talk about it, okay? And then you just do this. Oh, unbelievable. Wow. See? Do you notice I didn't say anything about me? I didn't say, guess that happened to me too, or happened to my kids. I'm just doing this. Because it shows I'm listening. It shows compassion, and that's all they want. They want to talk, let them, okay? Also, if you say no to someone, you do not have to explain why. Someone invited me out to go to dinner Friday night. We just got back from a cruise. I'm exhausted. I'm starving myself. I'm like, oh, I'd really love to go. It's not a good time. Can we put it on no, I said, I'd really love to go, but can we put it on the calendar for maybe June? They're like, well, what's wrong with Friday? I'm like, well, it's really just not the night I want to go out to dinner. And they're like, well, why? I'm like, it's just not what I want to do. I don't feel like I need to say, I just got back from a cruise, I'm tired. I mean, sometimes I think we should let people just say no. You know, unless you're saying you're not coming to pray it off. Then you can't just say no. You have to give me an effusive, really long explanation why. Also, never be the victim. Always carry on, because living your best life. There was somebody at my office. She was a medium boss, but she wasn't my boss. Hated me, hated everything about me, hated me, hated me, hated me. And when I retired and the county executive made it Ellen McCauley Day, I looked over at her in the eye. I just smiled. I walked up to the stage. I hugged Ryan McMahon. I kissed him on the cheek. doing your best is the best revenge. Never forget that. Also, surround yourself with people who give as much as you do. That's why we're praying off lifers, because our tables love us. We love our tables. One session, I was kidding around. I said, yeah, next session I'm going to change all the tables. I thought, people actually, there was an uproar that Father Mano came running over. What happened? I said, I threatened to change the tables, and he heard it way over on the other side. Also, forgive, but don't forget. It's hard for us to forgive when people are mean to us, but I say don't give them the satisfaction. Let it go. Also, we don't need other people's approval. This is big for me. What we need is God. That's all we ever needed was God. Go stop right there, Bobby.